up to Chagiga Yud base?
Holding Chagiga Daf. We're holding Chagiga Daf Yud on the base. Actually, holding Chagiga at the end of the page, but it's somewhere like stuck in the middle, so we'll go back a little bit. Especially since we was hoping to finish the first pedic before the summer, didn't work out. Now we're finishing it off. So, okay. Zog the Gemara also. In the Mishnah in Daf Yud Amud Aleph, the Mishnah categorizes different halachas that appear in the Torah, different halachas that we know, and it categorizes them in three categories. One of them is something that there's no psukim to hold it down. And it says, the Mishnah says, Heten Adoim, to be matin neder, the concept of being matin neder is poichen bav, it's luftik, it's flies around. There's nothing, there's no psukim that's holding them down to point and to say, oh, this is very clear, we learn from this pasuk clearly that you can be matin neder. And the Gemara goes through a bunch of different things that maybe it is, and knocks everything down. One of them, he says that maybe we can take a see from this pasuk, but it's not so clear cut. It's poichem ba'avin, it's mamish flying in the air, and is very minimal that you can hold on to. So this is the first concept. Second one is hilchas Shabbos Chagigas and Me'ilas. Shabbos Chagiga and Me'ilah. So there's two things. The Mishnah says two things. Haloim hatluim besaida. They are like mountains suspended on hair. And the Mishnah explains, Shen Mika Muad Valachas Mubas, there's a lot of halachas and there's very few psukim. Rashi tells us here about Machlokes. What exactly does this mean? What does Haloim Hatluim Besayim mean? What does it mean mountains suspended on hair, on a piece of hair? So Rashi says it's one piece of hair that many mountains are attached to. And it's a piece of hair, it's very thin. So it's a pasuk, obscure. There is a pasuk there, but the pasuk doesn't say much. And later on in Mishnayos, they come and they bring out a lot of halachas. So that's what Rashi says. Tosfos says that you can't say that for everything. There are many psukim that speak about either Shabbos, Chagiga, or Me'ilah. There are many psukim that tell you a lot of the halachas. It's not to say that Shabbos is one pasuk and then you have to learn everything. No, it's not true. Shabbos, you have many psukim. You have the Lamatis and Lachas left in the Mishkan. You have all different types of things. So why would you call that like a lot of halachas backed on only one little strand of hair? Tosfos says that halam klum beside it means something else. Imagine you have a strand of hair. There's two corners of the strand. Each side you can tie up a mountain. If you pick up both mountains on the one hair, so even though each side is pulling the hair, it's still strong enough to hold on. So now we're not talking about many halachas tied up in one pasuk. There could be a few halachas tied up in a pasuk, but still more than one, and it's still the psukim maybe a little vague, but it's not like Rashi says many mountains tied in on one hair. That's the way the Machlokes is Rashi. Tosfos, because Tosfos says Shemika Mut Valachas Melubas cannot go on everything. There's Shabbos has many psukim, others have many psukim. You can't say it's Mika Mut Valachas Melubas. So Mika Mut, according to Tosfos, Valachas Melubas goes on one of the things on Chagiga and Me'ilah, and Shabbos is Halon Tlum B'Sayga. There's many halachas that are there's halachas hanging on a strand from two sides, pulling on two sides. Anyways, that's what the Mishnah said. The Mishnah finishes up and says a third category of where the first one there's no pasuk. Second one there is a pasuk, but it's a lot of halachas. The third one is that they have psukim. Yeshla mashes moichu. There's psukim. There's many. Maybe there aren't many psukim, but there are a few psukim, much more than Shabbos, Chagiga, Me'ilah, and Ve'enu Gufata. That's the third category. Now we are holding by Me'ilah. We went through what Shabbos is, and we went through what Chagiga is. Chagiga is not just a pasuk. Maybe you can look here, there. What? And we also went through, and the Shabbos we said Shabbos with the Meleches Machshavas, that it's not that the Torah doesn't speak of Meleches Machshavas, but we have these halachas of Meleches Machshavas. So basically, it's saying that it is a mountain that's suspended. Anyways, we're holding Me'ilas. It's towards the middle of the page, Daf Yud Amud Beis, the middle of the page. Me'ilas. The Gemara asks a simple question. It says a pasuk. It says two psukim about Me'ilah, and the pasuk writes out very clearly what you do, what the punishment is. You make Me'ilah, what happens with Me'ilah is that when you use a chayfetz, an item of hegdish, an object of hegdish, and use it for your own personal use, that actual chayfetz goes out l'chulin. That actual chayfetz is lost now to hegdish. So now you have to go and make it up. So first of all, there's 3 parts of Me'ilah. By Me'ilah, there's 3 parts when he comes to fix his mistake. Number 1 is paying up the loss of hegdish. That's the keden, paying up the principal. Then there's a punishment because he used hegdish. That is the choimish. And then there's the atonement, the tshuva part. What's a tshuva? So if it's b'shoigeg, then the tshuva is a kalban asham. You have to bring a kalban. If it's a mezid, it's a machloikas, where there's malchus or sometimes even misa. But in any case, by Me'ilah, you have the atonement part, which is either kalban or chazashol misa or malchus, and you have the punishment part, which is the paying a fifth, paying the 20% more than the actual item is worth, and paying the keden. Now, the Gemara is going to say that Me'ilah has some kind of halachas that are so obscure that we call it halol matlum b'sayla. It's an interesting halacha that it's not so clear, and there is a pasuk, but it's not so clear. And we can learn many different halachas, and these halachas are considered a mountain that's suspended by here. Milas has a clear pasuk. When we say that Me'ilas is something that's suspended by here, what's dafman das? We learned in the Mishnah, if someone appoints a shliach, someone Leuven has $50 in his house, these $50 belong to Hegdish. He appoints Shimon as a shliach, please go out and buy me a coat. Buy me something that I'm going to use for my own personal use. And Leuven forgot that these $50 are put away for Hegdish. And he goes and sends Shimon. And Shimon goes out and buys the coat. He follows the shlichus 100%. He buys the exact coat, the exact item that Leuven wants. If he did the shlichus correctly, then Shimon is just acting as a messenger of Leuven. And now Shimon is not chayiv, but Leuven is chayiv, which is an interesting halacha. We know that in shlichus is ein shliach l'tval. You cannot hire someone to do a shlichus for you, to do an aveda for you. You cannot hire someone to just do an aveda for me. But here, by Me'ilah, we have a halacha that if the Reuven tells Shimon, go do an aveda for me. I don't know about this aveda right now because I forgot that these $50 belong to Hegdish. So I don't know. I'm shoygig, 100%. I'm shoygig. You are shoygig, but still, I'm making you a shliach to do an aveda for me. Usually, ein shliach l'aveda. But in this case, we say that yesh shliach l'dvar aveda. Yesh shliach l'dvar aveda. If ein shliach l'dvar aveda, then Shimon would be chayev. He would have to pay Me'ilah. He would have to pay hegdesh, the keren, the choimish, and bring a kalban. In this case, we say no. Reuven made Shimon a shliach. It's a good shlichus. Now Shimon made the aveda, and Reuven has to make it up. Reuven has to pay the keren, the choimish, and bring the kalban. The shliach shows the shlichus. Balabais more. The balabais does the Me'ilah, and he has to do the atonement. He has to bring the keren, the choimish, etc. Lo yotze shlichus. If Shimon didn't exactly follow through and bought something else, now he didn't do Leuven shlichus, so now it's not a shlichus. Now you did the aveda by yourself. Shliach mal. If Shimon did the shlichus, why is the balabais? Why is Leuven considered the one that did the Me'ilah? Shimon did the aveda, and Leuven is going to have to pay and do tshuva for it. Doesn't make sense. So because of that halacha, which is an interesting halacha, goes against what we know that ein shliach l'dvar. Therefore, specifically for this halacha in Me'ilah, we call it halorim hatluim b'saylam. Okay, so we have a good answer. This is what Love doing says. Love didn't like the answer. Love says that you can make a gzera shava and learn that. What's a gzera shava? Maybe it's maybe it's such a difficulty to understand that to someone makes a shliach by Me'ilah it's considered a shliach. Maybe Me'ilah is different than any other shlichas. The yalfa chet mituma. We had this word in Tmua actually. We had the Izak Zera Shava of Chet Tuma to Me'ilah. They learned many halachas out of it. Just like Tuma is like this, Tmua is like this, etc., and back and forth. And whoever says maybe one of the Zera Shavas you can learn is Tuma is one of the areas in the Torah that speaks about shlichus. We have by Korban Pesach, we have other places. By Tuma, we learn a specific part of Tuma. We say that when you make a shliach, you can only make a yid shliach. A yid can only make another yid shliach. He cannot make a goy shliach. Why? Because it says, "Kein turim ugam atem, ma atem b'nei v'ris af shluchachem b'nei v'ris." Same way you are a part of the covenant, a Yid. Same thing also, the Yishluchim have to be a Yid. So from in Tuuma itself, you learn a few halachas of Shlichus. So the Rebbe is saying, because of the Gzera Shalva of Chet Me'ila to Tuuma, because you're already learning Shlichus out of Tuuma, a certain part of Shlichus, add another piece of Shlichus. Just like Tuuma, we say we can make a Shliach ois a Shliach, learn from it Gzera Shalva to Me'ila, that it makes a Shliach even Ledvar Averon. So it's not such a shizogafet. It's not something that doesn't have any existence. So in Mila you can learn chet from Tuma. Even though it's an Aveda. So if that's the case, so then why is the Mishnah saying Me'ila is something that Haon Tluim B'Sayra, that is something that's suspended by air? As the Gemara takes the same concept that we brought Reuven giving Shimon something to buy with Hekdesh money, and the Bryce says a little bit different. Because it's not Haniska Balabais and Haniska Shliach. After Reuven gives Shimon $50 to go buy a coat, Shimon walks out the house. He's walking to the market and he's about to buy a coat. Reuven, before Shimon had the chance to buy the coat, Reuven remembers, "Oi, this $50 belonged to Hekdesh, belonged to the Beis Hamikdash. Now I don't want him to do that. I don't want him to do that." If that's the case, that Reuven remembered, he didn't have a chance to go call Shimon back. But if Reuven remembered, then he doesn't want this entire shlichus. Therefore, if Shimon anyways goes ahead and buys b'shoigig, he did it by mistake. He doesn't know anything. Buys the coat for the Reuven. Now it's not considered a shlichus. Now Shimon did it all on his own, and therefore Shimon is going to be more. Or my kusha. Sorry. Elo Amarov, we learned in the Mishnah, Niska Balabais and Niska Shliach. The Balabais remember that it's Hekdesh. Niska Shliach, and it didn't remind the Shliach. Shliach Mol. The Shliach goes weiter and buys the coat. Shliach Mol. The Shliach is the one that did Meila. So what's the Halal Klum B'Sayla? Shliach Anya Maikov, this poor Shliach, what did he do? He had no idea that someone is handing him counterfeit money or something wrong money that he can go and buy something and he be over. So he had no choice. He had no idea what was the shliach supposed to do. Shliach ani, this poor shliach, Ma'ikovet, and because the halacha is still that the shliach is the one that did mila, therefore it's considered haina karamat tlum b'sayna, because it is the pasuk speaks about mila, the pasuk speaks about shlichus, all these things are written. And this concept, though, is not so clearly written. Therefore, it's considered a lantul beside that it's a halachas that hanging on a pasuk on a thin pasuk.
1 second. Meaning, when the Balabayas realizes that this is
Hekdesh money,
and
he regrets it.
His chayzer from the shlichus.
Yeah.
Even though the guy's already.
Yeah.
Is he able to be paid Shabbat? I'd say that money.
No, as I said, once you use the money for something else, here especially we're talking about money. If you use an item of Hekdesh, once you use it, most of the items go out l'chulin.
So that money, what's that money? That money came from where?
Whatever the one was, he decided, I want to give my I want to give my worth to the Beis Hamikdash, and he puts away a stack of.
Can he pay to that money and put it on a different money?
Then he could
maybe take it in his hand and say, I gave him $50. He doesn't. I can't reach him, so I'm taking another $50 and putting it.
I believe that. Yeah, but I believe also first if it says this money should be Hekdesh, or I believe also that the money has to be and has to be here, has to see it, has to what's it called. I believe so. I don't know. But in any case, obviously, he would have done that if he would be able to look at it. But in any case, here we have Lav that says that this is the story. Reuven gave Shimon money. Reuven remembered. It says, I regret the whole story. Shimon goes ahead and buys it anyways, even though Shimon is Shoigeg, but he was Moyal and he has to pay the Keren, the Chaimish, and the Kabin. Later on, go sue Reuven in court and get his money back, but that's a different story. Zat the Gemara Rabashi doesn't like it. Amar Rabashi. My kusha. Maybe this is a simple mistake. Anytime someone does someone b'shoigig, he has to make up for it. He has to make tshuva. He has to make up for it. If you break something b'shoigig, you still have to pay for it, right? So just like any other shoigig, Reuven himself, if he doesn't have Shimon, doesn't have a friend, he's not making an shliach. Reuven forgot that he has money of Hekdesh, and he goes and uses that money. It's considered a shoigig. He forgot. He didn't want to use the money, and then he used the money, to buy a coat for himself. And then he realized that it's Hekdesh. That is the perfect example of a shoigig, and we say the shogig has to pay. Shimon, even though he didn't want to do it, that's a shogig also. He didn't know, he didn't want to do it. He wasn't going to do an aveda if he knew. It was a shogig. It's why is it such a thing? Why does Rava say that Shimon not knowing that this money is hegdesh is halal tulim b'sayim? Maybe like anyone that Reuven himself, if he would have bought a coat with these $50, it's also he does not know that this money is hegdesh. It's the same shogig. So it's not such a chiddush. Why do you say if Reuven gives Shimon money and Reuven remembers and he regrets it, Shimon doesn't know anything, that is considered a hazal and tulim b'sayda? If Reuven himself would go and he forgot that the money is hegdesh, if he himself goes and buys, it's a shogig. This is a shogig. That's a shogig. It's not such a chiddush. Zot of Ashim, my kushe dil mimidi the hava moitze mois hegdesh lechulin. Like anyone else that goes and uses hegdesh money for chulin, for something mundane, it's the same idea. He didn't want to do it. He made it b'shogig. Here, what difference does it make that Reuven made a shliach? So therefore, it's mamish halal tulim b'sayla. Rashi says here. I'll give you another example. We learned in the Mishnah, not א.א&ב. Someone had a rock or a beam of hegdesh laying around, and he picked it up. Didn't do anything with it, just picked it up. He didn't do mila. If he picked it up and then gave it to a friend, the friend also lav dafka did anything with it. Nosten l'chaveiroi, who moal? The original guy that picked it up is moal. V'chaveir le'moal. It's an interesting halacha. They didn't do anything with it yet. Why is it considered meila? Why, if he picks it up, it's not meila? If he picks it up and gives it, it is meila. What's the chiluk? Mechdi mishkat shaklo. They either took it. It was taken. Mali chaveda. Who cares who picked it up? He picked it up, gave it to him, or he picked it up himself. What difference does it make? Why is this one make? If you give it, it's considered meila. If you don't give it, it's not considered meila. This is an interesting halacha, and therefore this is what we're talking about. That it's a mountain suspended by here. My gosh,
the friend is the one.
So as soon as if I pick this up, I don't do anything. If I pick it up and give it to you, the moment you grab it, I know I'm the one that makes meila. Why? That's the question. Why? It doesn't make sense.
What should it be?
Nothing. If I pick it up, it means if I pick it up and put it on, it's nothing. Why, if I pick it up and give it to you and you put it on it, all of a sudden now I did something? What did you do to cause me meila?
And did he know that it's kodesh?
Well, that's the end. What?
Did he know that it's kodesh?
Yeah.
Okay, because he knew that it's kodesh.
No, he knows it's kodesh. It doesn't make a difference. If he knows it's kodesh, as soon as he pick it up, it should be meila.
No, but the person who gave it to you doesn't know.
So exactly. Then he's not chayav. He's not chayav. Chavei le'moal. The chayav is not chayav. The person who picked it up. What's this? This is a weird halacha. And for the Gemara, Makusha, Dilma Shmuel, the Shmuel. What kind of person are we talking about? Hacha begizba mesuas la'avin in binaskin. Like you said, he's in charge of these rocks. He's in charge of the beam. He's in charge in his chatzah, or he is going to the warehouse and he's moving around the beams. So if he is the one that's working and he's doing all these things, we say that. But if he gives it over to someone else to do a job for me, I guess he wasn't hired for that. Now you're giving it to someone else, that's considered meila. Wherever he picks it up, he puts it down, doesn't make a difference. It's constantly in the shus of the gizba, of the gabay, of this tzedakah, of the hegdesh. But as soon as you give it to your friend, now the friend, even though he didn't do anything with it yet, but it's now not in your shus. You took it out from the shus of the hegdesh and he gave it to someone else's shus. So therefore it's a pashta zach. It's not just a chiddush. So look at the sefer of that Mishnah. What does it say in the sefer of the Mishnah? If the gizba took that beam or the rock, so he installed it, he pushed it, he made construction and added this beam into his house, the rock or the beam into the house. The interesting halacha is, as soon as you use it for your own good, you built a wall with it, you build a roof or whatever it was, the chayda right away should be meila, because you use it for personal needs. Zat the Mishnah name. Even though he constructed it, put it inside, ad sheyado tachteo, he has to live and enjoy that wall, that beam, or whatever it is that he did. He has to enjoy it b'shalaputa. He has to enjoy a living in there long enough that the living is worth a Shabbat Pluta. How you calculate it's different thing. But basically, he has to live there for a Shabbat Pluta. Only then is the Me'ilah. What's the halal tlum Messiah? He made a shinui. He changed something in the rock. He changed something in the beam. What difference does it make if he lives there or not? He does not live there. As soon as he puts it in and he changes, he bangs a hammer into the beam to attach it to the wall, then done. As soon as he put the rock and he close a hole, done. And because this halacha doesn't really make sense, and it's not so clear written. Hainekara not lum b'sayah. So the Gemara knocks us down as well. The Gemara, my kushya dilum kadav Rav said, he puts it on a hole. He didn't install it in the building. He puts it on top. What? Yeah, like a skylight. He puts it on top. Whenever he wants, he can lift the rock and take it away, or the beam and take it away, and use Hegdish. He kind of stores it. He stores it on top of the building. Now, if that's the case, if he's using that stored piece as a shelter, let's say it's raining and he stands underneath this as a shelter, then you use Hegdish. Then you moil. If he did not, then he could sit there forever. Doesn't make a difference. Even though it's in his building, doesn't make a difference. So maybe this Mishnah is talking about a case where he didn't install it into the building. He just put it on top. When he is actually going to live on it, there'll be Me'ilah. When it's not, so that's not a problem. If he lives underneath it, then he has Me'ilah. Then he doesn't have Me'ilah. So Me'ilah, we don't know which halach in Me'ilah is considered halal and tlulam b'sayda. And the oila, we have to go back to Rava's explanation. Rava said that the Uvain sent Shimon and to buy, and the Uvain remembered. Oh, it's Hegdish. He regretted it, and Shimon, poor guy, didn't know anything and went and bought. Then the Gemara asks a question, but that's the case like any other shogeg. Even Uvain himself, he goes and forgets. It should be the same shogeg. So the Gemara explains. We're going back to Rava's answer. It's like anyone that B'shoyik takes out money from Hegdish and uses it for Chulin. So the Gemara, it's different. If the owner himself goes and makes it B'shoyik, it's different because he has to do due diligence finding out that the money is not Hegdish. You know, if you put away money of Hegdish in your house, it should sit in your mind somewhere that there's money of Hegdish. Go. Make sure, search, look it up, ask someone, is this money Hegdish money or not? If he didn't do it, yes, you're chayev. Even though he didn't know fully in its b'shogeg. But the shliach, he does not even know that he doesn't even know that it even has Hegdish money inside. Why should it be chayev? So that's the halacha that's considered halal tlum b'sayah. Hassam made a yoda. The Uve knows that he has money of Hegdish in his house. The Ikas is the Hegdish. He had to look it up, search, see if any simanim is this Hegdish or not. Hacha the shliach miyada. Did he know anything? He didn't even know Reuven has Hegdish money. He doesn't even have the chance to go search whether it's Hegdish money or not. He has no reason to suspect it's Hegdish money, and he still said that he's moyel and he has to pay the keren, the chaimish, and the korban asham. That hainu kalam tlulam b'sayda. Okay, Zayt Gemara. Mishnah mentioned that it's like mountains suspended by here, and what does it mean? Mikamut, it's a few psukim, and halachas muvas. The Mishnah does not talk about Nagoyim v'ahalis, but in Vaisa says Tana, not in Vaisa. Nagoyim v'ahalis, Nagoyim, negatzoras, mitzoida, leprosy. The halachas of Nagoyim v'ahalis, and the halachas of tumas oil, when you have a tent on top of a corpse or a body. These halachas, mikamud, a very few psukim, halachas mehubayis, and a lot of halachas.
Why is it different than all the other alarm Sarah?
What?
Why is it different than all harm saying why wasn't it mentioned part of the harm Sarah?
First of all, because you'll see the question of the Gemara, you'll see that's not so simple. Right away, the Gemara asks, what do you mean? Negoim is mikamud? You have a whole pasha, it's called Pasha's Metzoida. There's a whole pasha with details, and you have to lay a lokach and this, and the pasha goes if you become tameh, and then you have to sit 1 week and then wait, and there's so many. What do you mean mikamud? There's tons and tons of psukim. Negoim mikamud. Negoim mikra meruba. Who? This I have to read it. Negoim mikra meruba vehalachas ma'otes. Negoim is not like the Mishnah says. Mishnah says these are few psukim and many halachas. Negoim is the opposite. There's a lot of psukim, but the halachas, the mishnayos, there's a few mishnahs about it. Ahala is mikra muat. It's very few psukim. Vehalachas merubas. And there's a lot of mishnayos halachas about it. It's like an interesting thing. What difference does it make if you have a lot of mishnayos or halachas that speak about a certain concept, or have psukim? So it has a lot, has a little. What difference does it make to us? What difference does it make for us knowing that this is a lot and this is a little? So the Gemara, if you have a question about negoim, look in the psukim, you'll find your answer because there's so many psukim. If you have a question about any halachas in ahalos,
that's tumata.
Tumata, yeah, tumas a mess inside of a tent. And then you don't look in the psukim because the psukim are not going to tell you much. But then you look at mishnayos and they'll tell you. So that difference, that is why the Mishnah is even telling us this concept: halachas moabis, halachas moates. What difference does it make to us? To us, it makes a difference because I want to tell you, if you get stuck in these halachas, where do you look it up? For negoim, you look it up in the chumash. For ahalos, for tumatan and ahalos, you look it up in mishnayos. Zaydik Gemara weiter. Dinin. The Mishnah mentioned dinim. Dinim is monetary laws. Pashut people have a fight and an argument about a certain monetary thing. The Mishnah says these are things yesh le'mashes moichu. There are psukim, and henin guf Torah. These are the principles. These are the main things of the Torah. But what the Gemara doesn't like is that you call it yesh le'mashes moichu. They have something to rely on. If they're hilchas, the halachas of mamonos, is again there are a few parshas speak about hilchas mamonos, about the shoy, the ox, the gores, and if you fire and all these things are spread up all the time. What do you mean that is? What are you talking about? There's psukim, there's clear psukim. You don't say this yesh le'mashes moichu on Pesach, where you have all these psukim. So mamonos should also be the same way. You have clear psukim speaking, laying out for you all the hilchas mamonos. So the Gemara didn't michtov ksivan this psukim there. So why do you say it's called yesh le'mashes moichu? You can rely on some psukim there. Lanitzachah, look at the Rabbi. The Gemara is going to find an obscure halacha that is not written in the Torah. Tanya, and this you can rely on the psukim, and it's more than Shabbos, but it's still this is an obscure halacha. Look at the Rabbi. The Tanya Rabbi oima nefesh tachash nefesh. Pasuk says that if someone kills someone, is nefesh tachas nefesh. You have to kill him. And what does the Gemara say? What does the Rebbe say? That it doesn't mean real killing. It means mammon, that you look at him, you shots him up, you go to see how much this person is worth, and he gives him the money to the family. So this is an interesting. The Torah says nefesh tachas nefesh, ein tachas ein, regel tachas regel, shen tachas shen, and we say all these things are mammonis. So ato I'm mammon ein el nefesh. You say it's money, maybe it's taka killing ein el nefesh. Mamash. Nemo nisin lamatan nisin lamatan. It says Maseches Chagiga. It says nisina by. Yeah, it said nisina lamatan by a.
Somebody kills a
pregnant woman, kills the v'nasata b'fli. The pasuk says v'nasata b'flilim. You have to pay money, and even though it says nefesh tachas nefesh, and over there it says you have to pay b'flilim. So same thing also here. Adam, sorry.
So like over there's money, so two shares.
Basically, Rebbe teaches us that you do eye for an eye, ear for an ear, or a neshama for a neshama. You do money. This is a halacha that taka is in the Torah because you see it with a gzera shava, but it's not something the Torah says one thing, and because of gzera shava we change the halacha. Therefore, it's considered yeshma l'mashes moich. It's not like Pesach and anything else. Zadik malavayda. Avoidus in Beis Hamikdash. So like the Gemara, what are you talking about? There's an entire Chumash Vayikra that speaks about avoidus Beis Hamikdash, the kabbanas, each kalban exactly with the mincha and how much pour you have to do, how much the worth and how much wine you pour, oil you pour. All these things are detailed in the psukim. What do you mean yesh l'mashes moich? It's a pasuk. You can rely on a pasuk. Michtav ksivan. As the Gemara lenitzachah. El lalochas hadam. We're talking about the concept of bringing the blood from where the animal was shechted until the Beis Hamikdash. Why is that? What? Till the Beis Mizbeach. Thank you. Why is that such a yesh l'mashis? The pasuk says that the kohen shechted v'shachad shechted v'hikrivu, and he brings it closer to the Mizbeach, v'zalchu, and he spritzes on the Mizbeach. It's missing a vital part. Shachad, then you have to accept the blood.
Kibbutz.
Yeah, you have to be mekabel the blood in something. And we know that the Kabbalah is an avodah that if you don't do it properly, the whole covenant goes. So the pasuk doesn't speak about it. Zog the Gemara, Tanya, v'ikrivu. When the pasuk says v'ikrivu, it doesn't mean bringing it closer. It means zu Kabbalah's dam. This means Kabbalah's dam. Ve'afka chmona b'loshna lacha, and the pasuk calls Kabbalah's dam, accepting the blood, with the lashon of v'ikrivu, of bringing. The chsiv v'hikav hakohen, and they have another pasuk that says v'hikav hakohen as a koil v'ikdam mizbecha. The kohen should bring everything closer, and over there also says v'amazama zu halachas avaim lekeves. That v'hikav means halacha. So now we know v'hikav means halacha, and here you say v'hikav is Kabbalah's dam. Why do you call Kabbalah accepting the blood in a lashon of halacha? To teach you. Lememre de halacha letifka miklal Kabbalah. It's come to teach you that just like Kabbalah has all the halachas, that if you have a machshava, Asher brings a bunch of examples that the kohen has to be mekabel in his right hand, and he has to be a righty, he has to be mekabel in his right hand. He cannot have any wrong machshavas. The same thing Kabbalah cannot have is also halacha cannot have. Why does the Torah not? Why according to halacha doesn't the pasuk speak clearly about halacha, about bringing the blood? Because the truth is, you can have a way to be makav the kolum without having to bring the blood closer. If you makav the kolum right by the mizbeach, the whole concept of bringing the blood doesn't exist. Therefore, the Torah doesn't tell you that there's a halacha of bringing the actual blood. But Kabbalah, you have to. And it's called by halacha because just like this has to have Kabbalah has to be by a kohen and has to be a righty and has to have machshavas, right? Machshavas, something also halacha. Both of them have to have these halachas that they have to be done in a way. And because it's not written clearly, and you call it lashon kriva and lashon Kabbalah, therefore it's called yesh lan mashis moichu. It's not so clearly written. Zadem weiter the halis. Yeah, the halachas of mikvah, how big a mikvah has to be. Michtav ksiv in the Gemara, again, we have psukim that tell you exactly. The pasuk says that you have to go into the mikvah. The pasuk doesn't describe how big the mikvah has to be. It has mikvah, it's called mikvah ma'im, a gathering of whatever. Who tells you how big the mikvah is? That it's not a clear pasuk, and therefore we can learn from psukim, but it's not so clear. What's going on here? The like siva, the shir mikvah is not written. The tani will the you have to wash your entire body in water at once. The may mikvah, you have to. B'mayim means may mikvah. Es kol b'sadoi b'mayim. You have to wash your entire body in the water. Shekol mayim shekol guf oil b'em. Has to be so much water that the entire body can fit into it in one time, and therefore it's a mikvah. The kamohen, how much is it? Amo al amo beum shalish amos. It's an amo in the height of 3 amos. V'shir chachamim mikvah aboim sa. And they measured and said that that's the chodah aboim sa. So if you can fit the aboim sa, that is what you have to do. So because the shir of the mikvah is not clearly written, therefore the pasuk calls it yeshel mashis moichu. Now here is an interesting tosfos. It's a side note tosfos, but an interesting tosfos. Let's ask a simple question. 1 second. Let's ask a simple question. We know that a person's dal damas. We know that a person dies, chas v'shalom, the dal damas is koinele. Dal damas koine shvisa on Shabbos. It's everything about dal damas. When you lay down, this is your dal damas. Or if you stretch out your hand, it's considered dal damas. Whatever it is, but your body is dal damas. You say that mikvah needs to be kol b'sadoi. Why didn't they say the mikvah is dal damas? Why it's amal? Huh?
You would crouch down.
Right. So why does the mikvah mean is only amas the height of only 3 amas? Let's say twice. Beum gimel amas. Even though we know that a person has 4 amas, his height is 4 amas, in the kuchen, that says in the halachas of kuchen, which is when you put dig out holes to bury bodies in. The amas has to be 4 amas. No, he only counts 3 amas here. Because we don't count the head. Why? He can bind on his head onto the side, and then he will be in the mikvah, total in the mikvah. Second. The Adon was only an amma v'chetzi. So in order to fit the Adon, if you have to table the Adon, you have to fit it down. So that's why, what's it called? Oivet Sida Ha'adon. Oh, I don't know exactly what it means. I have to look it up. But basically, Tesis asks this interesting question: why is it 3 amas? Because 3 amas is only you bow down, you bow your head down, and then you fit your body 3 amas. But Tesis, what I wanted to show you something is a little bit later in Tesis. A few lines down. The Bnei Haman. We find this in the story of the sons of Haman. The Targum Shemagila says that the Megillah has a Targum. It's actually 2 Targums, one after the other. And in the Targum over there is Mashma Shnizda Al Pi Medrash, which was the Targum is written according to the Medrash. What does it say? Shegoy v'kamasim gimel amas levadolosh kachoshin. The gimel avalosh. When they hung up the sons of Haman, they only counted 3 amas when they hung them up. Contrary to the belief in pictures that you see when you see pictures of Haman's sons hanging in a gallows, and there's 10 guys hanging like this, they actually hung them like this. And it makes the cheshbon, in order to reach 50 amas, it says it was 50 amas high, in order to reach 50 amas, they had to only count 3 amas. They didn't count the head. Why is that? Zakta Taisvus. The Shagoi v'kamasim gimel amas levadorosh.
And that would be 30 amas.
1 second. Shagoi v'kamasim gimel amas levadorosh. It's 3 amas besides that, not counting the head. The Choshev v'ozel alum chamishim amas, because he's counting according to a gallow that's high 50 amas. Lefitlias kolas lefi. Well, sorry, the Choshev v'ozel alum chamishim amas lefitlias kolas, counting all the 10 that were hung. The truth is 11 were hung. It says first of all Haman was hung the day before, and then the Eden killed Chamesh Mesish ve'ez Asaz ben Haman, and then Esther asks, please hang up the Asaz ben Haman where Haman is hanging. So we have Haman hanging, and then we added another 10. So it's not 10 times 3; it's 11 times 3. So now the Tosfos says something very interesting, just establishing that the hanging didn't kill them. The sons of Haman were dead when they hung them on the gallows. We see this clear from a pasuk. It was the same pasuk. They killed that Asaz ben Haman also. So when they hung them and Esther asked, please hang them, they were dead already. They hung them just to Pesum Nisa. They were already killed. They were between the 500 people, in addition to the 500 people. The Gama Payat Sada Beslicha. They say I don't know if it's slichas, considered slichas, or it's considered the piyutim by Shabbos before Purim. They have a lot of yotzes to say. What does it say? The Adam bekum ish b'shloish amas. A person stood up, each person shloish amas. V'haviz avi megula, and the 4th one is avi megula. So what's the cheshbon? What's that saying? That's saying cheshbon like this. You have a gal that's 50 amas high. Haman took up 4 amas. If let's say if you count 11, if you count that 11 people were hung on the gallows, and each person is 4 amas, you have 44 amas. But the Payat says, he said that between each person there was an amma space. So if you have 11 people hung at 4 amas height, plus there's an amma in between, you count about 5 amas a person. 11 times 5. It's 55. True isn't big enough. Was Munzagum that they didn't count 4 amas, he only counted 3 amas. 3 amas because he didn't count the head, because the head apparently was chopped off already. They were dead. How did they kill back in the face? I didn't fully that part I don't know exactly. Mashal argues with the Tosfos a little bit.
No, because the head was hanging down.
But basically the idea is the head was hanging down, and it wasn't.
Like you can move your head and go into the mikveh. You can go down. It's the same thing.
So it was only counting.
Standing up straight.
So you count Haman, space and Amma, Pashandasa, a space, Chadasa, all the dasas, and then you get to the bottom, and the guy's dangling a couple feet off the ground, and that's the Shloisha Amas. So basically, going back to the Gemara, this is some side note that they hung. First of all, they hung like this. They didn't hang like the pictures. Something showed them hanging like this. They actually hung in order, and what's it called? And there was an amma between. So therefore, they only counted 3 ammas. And therefore, by mikvah also, you only need 3 ammas. You need the amma times 3 ammas. Sagt die Gemara weiter. Tumas. The halachas of becoming tamei by a sheretz, by a little creepy crawly. So the Gemara, why does the Mishnah say yesh lemamashis moichel? Yeah, there's a few psukim. Michtav ksiv, the pasuk says very clearly which shlotzim, and that benegea behem moisam benivlasam mitma the other. The pasuk says a lot of clear psukim about the tumah. Why does it say yesh lemamashis moichel? The Gemara nitzicha lekadosha min hasheretz. If only a lentil size of the sheretz was left, does that make you tameh or not? The Laksiva, because it doesn't say clear. The Tani, it says in Pasuk, Tani learned the Maisa, it says in Pasuk, what does the Pasuk say? Elatmeim lechem b'chol hasheretz. These are the one that are tameh for you in all the shlotzim. Kol adengea bahem, if you touch the sheretz b'moisam when they're dead, yitmadav, he's going to be tameh till the night. Tani says, go back in the Gemara. The Tani would say in the Maisa, bahem. It says in Pasuk, whoever touches bohem, yachal b'kulam. So you would think that they have to touch the entire sheretz. The entire sheretz has to be whole in order to become tameh. Mayhem. It says in a different pasuk. The next pasuk it says, all of mehem b'moisa mitma. Only part of it. Mehem is of it, not the whole thing. So we have one pasuk that says bohem and one pasuk says mayhem. Bohem, you would say that you have to touch the full sheretz in order to become tamei. Mehem tel teaches you that mehem that even if you touch a little bit of the sheretz, yachel b'miktsasam, then the Baisa says maybe if you touch only a little bit of the sheretz, you should become tamei. Mehem, you have to do the full thing. So in the psukim itself, we see a still one pasuk teaches you that even if you touch a little bit of the sheretz, you're already tamei. Bohem teaches you have to touch the whole thing. Okay, so how can you make a seder with these two psukim? You have to not the full thing, but if you touch him a little bit, that is considered the kulay. How much of the sheretz are you touching that is a little bit, but it's considered the full sheretz? That's the size of a lentil. Why? Because the smallest of the shlotzim, when it's born, it's the size of a lentil. Comes from some kind of a lizard. When it starts off the size of a kadosha, of a lentil. Therefore, the smallest part of a sheretz is going to be the size of a lentil. If you touch a full size of a lentil, you're going to tell me what's pshat. Lamashal, if you chop off, to say like the tail of alta, which is the alta is a lizard. Yeah, the tail of a lizard. If you chop it off, it has an interesting thing. That it will still move around. You'll see that the tail will still move around because it has its own chayas, its own life. Technically, it looks like it has its own life. What? Yeah, it looks like it has its own life. So that is the size of a lentil, and that if you touch a full size of a chopped off tail, you would become tamei as well if the halta is dead, if this sheretz this creature is dead. So therefore, it's not so clear how much of it you have to touch in order to become tamei. Therefore, this is yesh lahen al mashis moichel. Zog die Gemara weiter adoyes. Zog die Gemara adoyes. Michten ksiven. Gonna up me out over here. We'll finish this up. Adoyes also says clearly we have pashas achare. It speaks about all the oys who you're allowed and not allowed to marry. לניצחה, אלא לביטוי מאנוסוסוי. Marry a daughter from your wife, steht klar in Pasuk. But marry a daughter from a woman that you forced, steht nicht Pasuk, it doesn't say clearly in Pasuk. Loich siva. The Amar Rav Amar Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avdimi. Asa, it says in the Pasuk, Sharo Heina Zimohi. It says Heina by Bas Bita. And it says Heina by next Pasuk. Was Bas Bitcha, was Bas Bincha, Bas Bitcha, it's egal was in Heina. As,
1 second, Bita is his own daughter. He was ma'anis, a lady, had a girl.
Yeah.
It's talking about that girl.
yeah.
This is.
Why would you think? It is not a clear pasuk. You would think that because it's not marriage, it was a nusa.
Bas Bito shall Isha Zu, El Bas Habas shall the Himmel.
Yeah.
Bim Terem Kavachimer, who Emasir Minadin, Vidinchim Minadin.
Yeah,
Actually discussed it.
The embassy is I actually don't even look at the next page, so let's try this together. Let's see Rashi. Levita Menasas Leksiva, the Ilo Bitai Me Ishta Iksiva. The daughter from the Ishta, it says clearly. See, yeah, but Isha Bita. Mashma, it's Mashma Ben Shabbas Mena Ben Misha Acher. Doesn't make a difference who the father is. It's Elvas Isha Bita. So the daughter of a woman is considered an Elva on the husband, even though it's not his daughter. It says in the pasuk, Elvas Bas Bincha is Bas Bitcha. And another pasuk says that the daughter of your son, a daughter of your daughter, is Bebita Menasasai. In Ivamas it says that this is talking about the daughter of someone that he was Ma'anas. Midele Osa Kosov Bas Bita Shel Isha Zu Ella Bebas Habas. The pasuk says Bas Bitcha, the daughter of the daughter, the daughter of the woman you were Ma'anas. That is not allowed. But the daughter itself steht nicht klar. Elo bas abashnel de meno behaiko da nusa bas bitoi bas benoiksiv bitoi loiksiv. But this pasuk of anusa, it says the daughter of the daughter or the daughter of the son, but it does not speak about the girl. It's the daughter of the anusa itself. So therefore, that is not a clear pasuk. In order to teach us this, it's taka asal, and that is considered yeshlem ashes moichem. Im toive fetaises fetrashi kavachoymel. If then in Mazim and Adin ve'Anshim you cannot learn a hazada and an oynish from a kavachayma. But he cannot teach you a hazada and oynish. You cannot teach in order to something to be also. You have to have an hazada and you have to have the oynish. Okay. Anyway, so this is what's it called. What's the Gzeir Shava Heina and Asya Zima Zima? I didn't have a chance to look. We'll finish it next week. Make a see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.